Hello, Eagles. Today I have a special book. This is When Rosa Parks Went Fishing. Now we know Rosa Parks as being a leader in the civil rights movement and fighting for equal treatment of all. But what was she like as a child? We've heard her story as a grown-up. But let's discover where it all began. The school bell rang. Young Rosa Parks gathered her things and headed home. Halfway there, a white boy on roller skates tried to push her off the sidewalk. Rosa pushed him back. "I didn't want to be pushed, seeing that I wasn't bothering him at all," she later said. "I know, child," Rosa's mother said, "but I worry about you." In the 1920s, black people were not supposed to push or even talk to white people. They could be arrested or even worse. Rosa grew up trying to stop the unfair treatment of others. And then one day in 1955, she did something simple and brave. She sat down in a bus seat and became a hero to millions of people. Rosa Louise Macaulay was born on February 4th, 1913, in Tuskegee, Alabama. Her father, James, was a traveling woodworker. Her mother, Leona, was a teacher. Rosa's mother loved to learn. She passed that love of learning on to Rosa. She also taught Rosa to have respect for herself and others, and said it was the most important thing. Showing respect. That is something we do here at Kirby. Rosa and her family lived on her grandparents' farm in Pine Level, Alabama. They had fruit, pecan, and walnut trees. They also had a garden and raised a few animals. Rosa enjoyed exploring the nearby woods, ponds, and creeks with her younger brother, Sylvester. He followed her everywhere she went and repeated everything she said. Do you have a sibling that does that? Follows you everywhere? Repeats everything? Money was scarce, but Rosa's family found ways to make do with what they had. They didn't buy ready-made clothes. Rosa's mother sewed their clothes. She was a good seamstress. She taught Rosa to sew too. While their mother worked at school, Rosa and Sylvester spent time with their grandparents. They fished at the nearby creek. Rosa learned a lot from her grandparents. "Remember to always stand up for what you believe in, Rosa," Grandma Rose said. "And don't let people push you around," Grandpa John added. So she learned a lot of great life lessons from her grandparents. Rosa started school in 1919 at age 6. She went to an all-black one-room schoolhouse, and she loved it. She already knew how to read. Her mother had taught her since Rosa was just 3 years old. At recess, Rosa and the other little girls played games. They laughed and sang their way through Little Sally Walker Sitting in the Saucer and Ring Around the Rosie. About this time, Rosa learned a big, hard lesson. Beyond her grandparents' farm, life could be dangerous for black people. There were groups of white people who hated anyone whose skin wasn't white. They burned down black people's homes and churches. Sometimes white kids called her hurtful names. They threw rocks at Rosa and her friends. Rosa was angry. Why did people act that way? Didn't everyone deserve respect? That's what Rosa's mother had always told her. Didn't blacks deserve to be treated the same as whites? So at a young age, she's learning already that No matter what color your skin is, we should all be treated equally. In the summer of 1921, Rosa's mother took her to Montgomery, Alabama. 8-year-old Rosa was amazed by the big modern city. It was much different than Pine Level. Tall buildings stretched up to the sky. Shops selling fancy dresses and hats lined the sidewalks. Montgomery was the first place Rosa saw segregation. Segregation is the separation. And here, it's the separation between white people and black people. The law said that people could be treated differently because of their skin color. There were separate drinking fountains for white people and black people. The fountains were labeled white and colored. You'll see here where the water fountain has a sign on it. On the city buses, black people had to sit at the back of the bus. White people sat up front. If someone broke the law, he or she could be arrested and put in jail. Rosa knew the law was wrong. She thought if enough people stood up and said it was wrong, maybe things could change. After she finished 5th grade, Rosa went to live with her Aunt Fanny in Montgomery. There were better schooling options in the city for Rosa. She became a student of Montgomery Industrial School for Girls. Everyone called it Miss White School. Miss Alice White was the principal and co-founder. Miss White was Caucasian. She was white. So were all the other teachers at school. They had moved there from the northern states. At the time, black girls in the South had few places to go to school. Miss White and her teachers wanted to change that fact. So Miss White and her fellow teachers wanted to offer schooling to not only the white children, but also to black, so that they could all learn. Rosa adored Miss White. From her, Rosa learned many lessons. She learned that she was a person who deserved to be treated fairly and equally. She also learned to set high goals for herself. Believe anything in life is possible, Miss White would say. Rosa and Miss White wrote letters to each other long after Rosa left school. Rosa treasured their friendship. It reminded her that not all white people hated black people. When Rosa was 16, she left high school to help care for her ill grandmother. Rosa wasn't happy about leaving school, but she didn't complain. Nothing was more important to her than family. Rosa worked hard, cleaning houses to earn money. Sometimes she needed more money, so she sold fruit from her family's trees. It was a tough time for Rosa. She often looked to her church for help. Her faith got her through many long, hard days. My new book pages don't want to turn very well. When Rosa was 18, she met Raymond Parks. They married the following year in 1932. Like Rosa, Raymond loved learning. He was one of the first members of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP. The organization worked to improve the lives of black people across the nation. Later, Rosa also joined the NAACP. Rosa was happy, but she always regretted not finishing high school. With Raymond's support, she went back to school, and in 1934, Rosa reached her goal. She earned her high school diploma. Nearly 20 years later, Rosa would stand up for herself and others in a big way by taking a seat. On December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks got on a bus to go home. She sat in the black section. like she was supposed to do. But when the bus filled up, the bus driver told her to get up and give her seat to a white man. Rosa refused, saying calmly, "No." When the driver said he was going to call the police, Rosa said quietly, "You may do that." Some people later said that Rosa didn't give up her seat because she was old and tired. "I was only 42, she replied. "No, the only tired I was tired of giving in." Rosa was arrested and later let out of jail. There was a trial. She was found guilty and told to pay $14. She had also lost her job. In protest, thousands of people, mostly black, boycotted the city buses in Montgomery. Boycotted means that they stopped riding all the buses to show support for Rosa and what she was trying to change. The boycott lasted more than a year. Rosa and her lawyer thought the ruling was unfair, so they went to the U.S. Supreme Court. The court ruled on November 13, 1956, that bus segregation in Alabama must end. From then on, blacks were free to sit wherever they wanted on the bus. Rosa Parks became an important leader in the civil rights movement in America. She died on October 24, 2005, at the age of 92. This series also has some other great books. Amelia Earhart, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Martin Luther King Jr. What were all of these amazing people in American history like when they were children? I hope you enjoyed When Rosa Parks Went Fishing. Have a great day, Eagles.